Hello, children. Thank you all for being here. It's wonderful to see the work done by Get Set Parent and Vishwarang in the field of literature, art, and music. They've organized India's biggest online festival of the year for children and their parents. It's an honor and a privilege to be part of it. I hope that we all enjoy ourselves, have fun. I'm going to tell you about my journey. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, the books I've written. I'm going to begin by introducing myself. My name is Varsha Seshan. I'm a children's book writer, and I've written many, many books for children. And I love writing for children. I've written for all kinds of age groups. So I'm going to be telling you a little bit about the books I've written, a little bit about what writing is all about. So I want to ask you, how many of you like to read? Do you like to read? Yes, Akanksha is raising her hand. Kia is raising her hand. Okay, and okay, Dilisha is raising her hand as well. Arlene, I see most of you raising your hands. I'm going to ask you, do you like to write? How many of you like to write? Yes, Akanksha, what do you like to write?
I like to write fantasy stories.
You like to write fantasy stories. All right. I started writing when I was about 6 years old. So as old as Kia and Arlene are right now. So I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to take you through my writing journey so that I basically want to tell you that you're never too young to write. And now as a full-time writer, I write every day. So I'm going to begin with my school years. So when did I start writing? I told you that I started writing when I was 6, and I'll tell you why I started writing. So I'm going to share with you when I started writing. So I started writing when I was very, very young. And here you can see I was 7.5 years old when I had my first story published in a newspaper. So again, I'll tell you, you're never too young to start writing. I wrote right through my school years. I wrote lots and lots of stories. Many of them won prizes. And this was the beginning of my journey as a writer. And by the time I was in college, I knew that I wanted to write. I knew that I wanted to be a writer. And so in my college years, I started working at a newspaper. But at the same time, I was sending things out and I kept getting these kinds of what is called a rejection letter, where someone says, okay, we enjoyed your contribution and keep writing, but we're not going to publish your piece. And this is something that's part of the journey of writing, right? Sometimes your work is good, sometimes it's not. And because I wanted to make my work better, in my college years, I joined a newspaper and I wrote lots and lots and lots of stories. And at the same time, I was sending stories out. I had written a book. I wanted my book to be published. And many publishers would reply with things like this, saying, we regret to inform you that we will not be publishing your book. Unfortunately, it's not the best fit. But this didn't stop me. I kept writing, even though lots of publishers said no, they don't want to publish it immediately. And then I had my first publication in the form of a short story in this book. And you know what? This book was published again because it did well. It was published again with the new cover. And this is just very, very recent. So it's just 2020-21 that this book was published again in its new form. And then I went on to write a lot more. So I wrote a whole collection of short stories, which was called The Story Catcher. And this one was shortlisted for the Parents and Kids Choice Award 2014. I went on and on and on writing. So this is a whole series of railway adventures that I wrote. So does anybody know who this elephant is? There's an elephant that you can see here. Have you ever seen this elephant before? Do you know who this elephant is? Anybody?
Mama, I had seen this in my previous year's GK book, but I can't remember its name.
Well done. You would have seen it in your GK book. Yes.
Balloon.
Well done. The elephant's name is Bholu. Bholu is the mascot of the Indian Railways. So this is how Bholu looks. You can see Bholu right here, the elephant. And a mascot is a kind of a symbol of the railways. So Bholu is not my creation, but I wrote all of these books for the National Rail Museum about railways and different things like the electric engine and the steam engine and railway tracks. And this was a fun project because I learned so many new things as I wrote it. So you can see one of those books over there in the corner is called Bholu and the Fairy Queen. That's one of the oldest engines that exists. And then at the same time, I was writing things like picture books. And these picture books have been translated into many, many languages. So like Today I Am is in 55 languages. So these are 4 picture books that I've written. Picture books are books with, of course, lots of pictures. And these are books for very young readers or for parents to read out to children. And then I had another big... Yes, Arlene?
Are they real stories?
They are real in the sense they are published, but they are not stories. They're stories that I made up. So they are not stories of things that actually happened. So stories that we make up are called fiction, and stories that are real, that is that they're based on real people or real things, they're called non-fiction. So these are all fiction. And what you can see on the screen right now is a collection of fictional short stories, meaning that I made them all up. So sometimes there's magic in the story. Sometimes there are children doing things which they wouldn't normally do. So this collection of stories was shortlisted for the Scholastic Asian Book Award. And as you can see, it has 2 covers, because there's one cover which if you live in Singapore, you can buy. And there's another cover of the book which you can buy if you live in India. And this book was also shortlisted for the Singapore Book Award 2019. So obviously, how do you feel when you get an award? What do you think?
I'm proud of ourselves.
We feel proud of ourselves, right? So this is a big step for me as well as a writer. And I wrote many more. I wrote 2 more books. These are called middle grade books for middle grade readers. That's when you're about 10 up to the time that you're about 13. And these are 2 middle grade books that I wrote not so very long ago. And then, yes?
Ma'am, do you design the covers or yourself?
No, I don't design the covers. So the covers are designed usually by somebody whom I don't even know, because it's the publisher who gets in touch with an illustrator who does the cover, and who does, if there are any pictures inside, then those pictures inside the book are also drawn not by me, but by an illustrator who specifically takes on this job. So this is another of my books, which you can see on the screen, The Clockwala's Clues. This was shortlisted for the Neev Book Award in 2021. But today, the book that I'm going to be talking to you about is my latest one. It's called The Best Idea of All. You can see the cover on the screen as well. What do you think the book could be about? What do you feel?
Ma'am, your adventures?
Like I said, I write fiction. So fiction means stories that are made up, right? So what do you think the best idea of all? Look at the picture. I'm going to give you a hint. It's based on a festival. Which festival do you think it could be?
Holy.
Well done. And that's why I'm going to ask you to make colors as well, right? Because it's based on Holi. And it's about 2 children who, along with their friend, come up with a brand new idea, which is the best idea of all. Before I come to that, I'm going to ask you, what cities do you live in? I'm going to start with you, Akanksha. What city do you live in?
I live in Bangalore.
You live in Bangalore, all right. So I live in Pune. We're in different parts of the country. So Pune is in the state of Maharashtra. It's not far from Mumbai. And we live in different parts of the country. But in this time, what season has just got over for all of us? What is the season that has just got over? Yes, Nidhi?
Autumn.
Okay, autumn. For the rest of the world, it's autumn. But for most of us in India, what did we have just now?
Summer.
Monsoon.
Diwali is the festival that just got over, and monsoon is the season that just got over. And what happens when we have too much rain in the monsoon? Floods. Yes. And what happens when we don't have enough rain?
Drought.
We have drought, right? Yes, when we don't have enough rain, we have drought. And when we have too much rain, we have floods. And this is something that I was thinking about when I started writing The Best Idea of All. So I'm going to read a small section from the book before I come to a conversation that we're going to have about water conservation. All right. So you can see this picture. This is a picture of the 2 sisters who are talking about how parents always say, when I was your age, I didn't do this. So do your parents also say that? When you watch too much TV, they say, when I was your age, we used to go out and play. When I was your age, we would climb the tamarind tree. And both these girls are tired of hearing this. Antara and Tarini. Those are their names. And they're fed up of hearing this phrase, when I was your age. So I'm just going to read the first 2 pages. I hate those words, muttered Antara. She blew a raspberry. Blew a raspberry means to. So they're so irritating. Tarini's legs were flung over the sofa arm. So you can see her legs flung over the sofa arm. That's how she's lying down and reading something. It was a hot day in March. A day to laze and lounge and dream. She wiggled her around. Now, her hair dangled to the floor and her legs were against the sofa back. What? She asked. Antara stared at her younger sister. You look so weird, she commented. Upside down. What words do you hate? Asked Tarini, shaking her head and letting her hair sweep the floor. Antara wrinkled her nose. When I was your age. She stuck out her tongue. I can't even imagine Nani my age. When was Nani ever 9 years old? Or your age? Can you picture Nana as an 8-year-old boy? What about you? Can you picture your grandparents as children? As 9 years old and 8 years old? Can you imagine them as children? Because one day they were, right? Long ago, they were your age, the same age as you. And Antara and Tarini, as they're talking about this, they feel inside the sofa and they find a flyer. A flyer is like a brochure, an ad. And that flyer says, make your own colors. And this makes Antara and Tarini think, wait, we could make our own colors and we could sell them. What about that? We could make some money as well. But then they realize that there's a drought. And nobody is playing holy. Why? Because there's no water. So they have to come up with a better idea. They need to come up with the best idea of all. And I'm not going to tell you what the best idea of all is. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to ask you a few questions about what you think about water conservation. All right. So why should we conserve water? So if for those of you who don't know, over 70% of the Earth's surface is covered with water. So what's the big deal? What do you think? Why should we conserve water? Anybody?
Mom, can I
Yes,
tell?
Priya. Yes.
Mom, so I wanted to tell that because the 70% of water that is there on Earth, that is not fit for drinking.
Excellent. It's not fit
I'm
for
sorry.
drinking.
It could be like used for domestic purposes or something, but like sweeping, cleaning, but all of it is not like fit for drinking. So we need to conserve water for our drinking also, because like without food we can live, but without water it is like really hard to live.
We can't live without water. We can't live without water and food. But food, like you said, we can do different things. We can find different sources of food. But without water, we can't live. And you're absolutely right. So 70% of the Earth is covered with water, but 97% of all the water on Earth is salt water. Have you ever had salt in water? How does it taste?
Mom, it's like really
I
salty.
can see Delisha's face also. It's really salty, right? So water from the sea, we can't drink. Yes, Kia?
The water is very, very salty, so you can't drink it.
You can't drink it. And only 3% of water on Earth is fresh water. And out of that, only 0.5% is available for drinking. The rest of it is in ice caps and glaciers. So we really need to conserve water, right? Because if we need to live, we need water. But there's more than that. What do you think? Do you think that fish and dolphins and whales, they matter? Are they important? What do you feel?
Yes,
are,
Mom, they are
right?
important.
They are important.
Yes,
And
Ma'am, each and every creature is important because they all are made for different purposes, different work.
absolutely, every creature is important. And maybe you may say, okay, we'll have water for another 50 or 100 years, and after that, well, who cares? Because we'll be dead. What do you think? Do you feel that's true? If there's no water after 100 years, is that a problem?
Mom, it is a problem for the world, but many of us think like we won't be alive till that time. So why should
then
we
what
care?
will
We
our
should
kids
do
drink?
our like domestic purposes or
Then
our like own job to right now. Who cares about what happens after 150 years?
Yes, yes. And as Kia is saying so correctly,
Ma'am,
what will our kids drink? Yes, Kia.
and what will our kids drink?
Absolutely. That's why we need to take care of the world, right? And that comes to the last point over there, that taking care of our environment is our business. We need to make sure that we take care of the environment, don't we? Because
Ma'am, it's
this
a
is what
duty.
we're doing to water at the moment. Yes, Elisha, you were saying something. Sorry.
Ma'am, it's a duty.
It is our duty. You're absolutely right. And this kind of water pollution is a no-no. We should not be doing this at all. So there's global warming. Because of that, the water is getting warmer. There's more carbon dioxide, there are chemicals. And do you think this water that you can see in the picture is drinkable? Can we drink this water?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No way, right? But this
Ma'am,
is
it's
what we're doing to
color.
the water. And so I'm going to ask you, what do you do? What do you do to save water? Anybody? How do you
Ma'am,
save?
close
Yes, Delisha.
tap.
Okay, one at a time. Let's go to Delisha. I saw her speaking, then I'll come to you, Kia. Yes, Delisha.
Ma'am, when it rains, I keep 2-3 buckets.
Lovely. That's
in
something
a-
that my father also does. If you notice over here, I mean, if you read the book eventually, I have the dedication on the first page. It says, for my father, a water champion. And he does exactly that. He keeps buckets outside and he fills them up, and he uses them for things at home. Yes, that's a great way to save water. Yes, Kia, what do you do?
Close taps.
Well done. That's the most important and simplest way to save water, right?
Turn off taps when you're brushing teeth.
Good job. Yes, when we're brushing our teeth, we turn off the tap so that it's not all going into the drain and being wasted. All right. So these are the things that you do to save water. And what we're going to do now is we're going to join Saira, who's the friend of Antara and Tarini in this book, in moving away from chemicals. If you remember, chemicals was one of the things that we saw over here, right? As one of the factors causing water pollution.
Water pollution.
Yes, it does. It does. And if we have to move away from chemicals, do you know that a lot of the colors that we use when we play Holi have chemicals? And if we want to move away from chemicals, one thing that we can do is we can make natural colors. So do you have the ingredients that I asked you to get? Do you have something to make your colors with? Yes, all right, good job. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to ask all of you to do as well, I'm going to put my books away. I'm going to take my laptop and I'm going to put it in a place where it's not going to get dirty. All right, so that my desk is clear and I can make my colors without getting my laptop damaged, without dropping water on my laptop and or your phone or whatever it is that you're using. All right, so make sure that things are safe, and we're going to try to make at least a few of these colors: brown, pink, yellow. If you have flowers, we can make other colors as well. Yes, Kia.
I make colors pink with beetroot.
Oh, lovely. So we're going to do that actually. We're going to do that very soon. I'm going to guide you through how we can make it so that we all have. So I can see that Delisha has a hibiscus. So a hibiscus works well, but you may need to dry it before you're actually able to use it to make colors. But let's see what we can do. So we're going to start with, so I'm going to bring my screen down so that you can see my
Ma'am, do I
whole-
need a spoon also?
Sorry?
Ma'am, do I need a spoon also?
Do you need this? A spoon is always useful, yes. And also a napkin is useful because it's going to get a little bit messy. So it's useful to have a napkin so that you can wipe your hands and you can be clean even when you touch your device again. Okay, so you have coffee. if you have coffee and if you have tea, what you can do is you can mix both of them together and just make a brown color. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to make a wet color. All right, so I'm just going to put this tray away so that it's not in the way. So I've taken a cloth like this, exactly like this, and I've put coffee and tea together in that cloth. You can see that I've put it together. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a little bit of warm water. I'm going to pour it into my little cup here. I have my coffee and tea. And I'm going to dip this in that. Can you see how the color is slowly coming in? Do you see that my water is slowly becoming brown? Yes. So this is the way in which we can make brown color. And for all of you, if you don't have these ingredients, that's fine. We're going to go to other things very soon. You can make it as dark or as light as you want. Yes?
Ma'am, then how can we get the color, like the powder we can't get, right?
So the powder is the first method, which I didn't do because I wanted to choose the wet one. So for the other ones, I'll be doing dry. So for 2 things, I'm showing you how to do the dry colors. And for 2, I'm showing you how to do the wet colors. So this is, to get the dry color, you just mix the powder. It's as simple as that. That's the reason why I didn't show you. It's simple, it's straightforward. You mix the tea and the coffee and you have brown. Over here, I have tea and coffee. Yes? I didn't hear you. Somebody said something, but I'm not sure what you said.
Mom, I was asking, can we start doing that?
Of course, please do. Please do. That's the brown. Make sure that after you do it, that you have it nice and clean. So I have a nice dark brown color, as you can see. And obviously, it's a natural color, right? Because
Ma'am, it's almost looking black.
it's almost looking black. I think that's also because of, yes, it's brown over here to me, but it is almost black. And the more I put it in this, the darker it's going to become. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this aside because I don't want it any darker. And I have my brown ready. I'm going to give you all a few minutes to get your brown ready too before we go on to the next one. Like I said, it's always useful to have a cloth to keep your hands clean, especially if you're going to be touching any of your devices again. Okay, so what you could also do is you could lay a newspaper there so that you don't drop anything. So place something below so that even if you drop something, you can clean it up easily. Okay, would you like to show me your colors? Let me stop sharing my screen and I can see all your colors then. What have you done? I can see Arlene mixing something. I'd love to see your color. Oh, lovely. Excellent. And however light or dark you want to make it, you can do that here. You can keep it in the water for longer. It'll become darker. If you keep it for less time, it's going to become lighter. Kabir, that's lovely. I can see yours as well. Well done. Well done. Good job.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so let's go to the next one then. So this is my brown. I'm going to keep my brown aside. And I'm going to come to the next one that I'm doing. So the next color that I want to make is actually the easiest color of all. It's yellow. So what we first need to do is you need to take a large empty bowl. It's empty. You have turmeric. Turmeric is haldi. So you take your haldi. You put 2 spoons in. So I have a spoon here. Your spoon should be clean and dry. Take haldi. 2 spoons into my 1, 2. All right. So I put 2 spoons into this bowl, which has nothing else in it. I'm going to take some flour. This is my flour. You can see it's just regular atta, maida, anything that you want, and you take 4 spoons of that, 2, 3, 4, and you mix it up. And there you have a dry yellow color. If you want it darker, you can add some more turmeric. If you want it lighter, you can add some more flour.
Now mine has changed into peach color.
Yours is turned into peach color. All right. If you want to make it darker, just add some more turmeric. That's all you need to do. So I'm going to see all of yours once more. And I'm going to show you mine a little more clearly. So let me stop sharing my screen so that I can see your yellows. You need to lower the screen slightly, Kia, for me to be able to see it. Oh, nice. That's a lovely yellow. So you can use that. And it's, of course, natural. I can't show you. Yours is perfect.
That coffee, that one.
Mm-hmm. Oh, lovely. Yours looks almost black as well. Yes, Kia, what were you saying?
Ma'am, I put my yellow on my cheek.
Yes, I can see yellow on your cheek. So what you can also do afterwards is, after we finish making all the colors, I'll tell you this anyway, but what you can do with these colors after we finished. So that's mine. That's my yellow. Okay, so let's go back and let's make another color. I'm just going to put this one also aside. Make sure I don't drop anything. Hands are clean. My space is clean. And it's time to try to make pink. All right. So if you already have boiled beetroot, you could use that. Or you could, if you want it dry. So I have some boiled beetroot here. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, instead of putting it directly in water, I'll take a cloth. I'll put my pieces of beetroot in that cloth. And I'm just going to hold the cloth. I'm not even going to tie it. I'm going to take a bowl. I'm going to pour some warm water into that bowl. I have my cloth with beetroot in it. I'm going to dip it in there and see what happens. And slowly, as you can see, there is a little bit of color coming in there. And the longer I leave it, so it says I should let it rest for a couple of hours for it to develop. I'm not going to wait for a couple of hours. I'm just going to leave this there for a bit. And for now, what I'll do is I'll put this aside so that after we finish, I can show you how much of this color has come in. And we're going to try to make a dry beetroot as well. Okay, so I have a little bit of dry beetroot, which I've browned. I'm going to take it on a plate. So this is dry.
Ma'am,
Okay.
Ma'am, is it grated?
It is grated. It is grated, but you can also grind it. All right. It can be ground into a paste. That's also fine. And then you mix it with any flour. So this is wheat flour or atta. And this is besan. All right. Which is, I can use either of them. And it's still going to give me a very nice color. So let me take some, I used atta for my yellow. So I'm going to use besan for this. I'm just going to mix this here. And once this is done, if I put this out in the sun, I'm going to get a nice dry pink. So it's become a little light. So what should I do? Add a little more beetroot. And just like that, I have a dry pink. I'll spread this out. The reason why I've taken it on a plate is because I'll spread this out and I'll put it in the sun and it'll be completely dry. It'll be entirely dry. And in the meantime, I'm going to see if my other pink is soaking as well. The other one should slowly become a nice, rich color. Let's see if that happens. Okay, so I'm just going to clean my hands a bit so that I'm ready to touch my device again. As you can see, my hands became pink because I've been playing with beetroot. And let's see what you have. My hands have to be dry. Let's stop sharing this. Show me what you have. Do you have beetroot with you? Does anybody have beetroot which you're using? Okay, all right. So that's fine. What we can do is we can move to the next one. I saw that Delisha had.
I don't have the beetroot.
You don't have beetroot. That's fine. That's not a problem at all. Okay, so let's come to the last set that we're going to do, which is any colors. So I don't have any flowers with me, but if you have flowers, what you can do is powder them and mix them with rice flour or wheat flour. And if you want wet colors, you use the crushed and dried flour mixed with water. So the important thing that you need to do first is to crush and dry the flour. All right. So as you proceed with it, the important thing is to make sure that you're careful with the color. And then the question is, what do I do with all these colors? So one thing that you can do is with dry colors, if you have a sheet of paper, you take that sheet of paper and you can draw a pattern on it. You put gum all over it and then you throw the color on it. It will stick. So I'll show you a few ideas of what you can do. So you can, let me bring this down. Okay, does anybody have any questions about books, about me, about the colors that you made, anything at all? Do you have any questions?
Ma'am, if we write creative writing, then is it like based on a particular thing, or creative writing is mixed?
Creative writing is mixed. Creative writing is creative. So you can do what you want in it. You can write about things around you. You can be inspired by things around you and write something else altogether. It's really anything that you want it to be. So it could be dreams that you're writing down, absolutely anything, whatever works for you.
Ma'am?
Yes, Akanksha?
Ma'am, which was your first book that got published?
So my first book that was published was called The Story Catcher, and it was a collection of short stories that I wrote. So this was in 2012. This was the first book, and the latest book is the one that I spoke to you about just now, which is The Best Idea of All. So it's the first 2012, and this is the latest in 2021. And there have been a lot of books in the middle.
Ma'am, what inspired you to write?
So I used to read a lot. And I still read a lot. Around you. You have so much creativity around you that you end up wanting to create stories of your own. And that's the reason why I started writing. And I wrote so many stories.
Ma'am, when I grow up, I want to write a book about dinosaurs.
Okay, go ahead. You should do that. So I have a book club where there are children from the age of, so I have 7 to 8 and 9 to 10. So one of the books that we read in the 7 to 8 age group was called Shrinking Vanita. And it's about a girl who saves the world from an asteroid. And it's a lovely story. So there are lots of space stories. There are lots of, I haven't yet read a dinosaur story at my book club, but I have about 5-6 children in each book club, and they, just like you, they enjoy reading and we read together all kinds of stories. All right. Okay. So it's been absolutely lovely to talk to all of you, and we'll stop here. And if you have any questions,
How can I join your book club?
So ask your mother to send me an email. I've put my email ID there, mail@varshaseshan.com, then I can send all the details there. So in my 7 to 8 year old book club, some books that we really enjoyed. So this time we read Dragon Masters, which everybody loved. We read The Vampire Boy, which everybody loved. We also read, we're currently reading this book actually, which is not fantasy, but it's about two girls who kind of wish for different things, and characters from history appear to help them out. So it's not fantasy, but there's a little bit of time travel there. So we read, so What else have we read for fantasy? A Pinch of Magic, Trouble with Magic. These are all books that you would enjoy, I'm sure.
How many books have you written from your school years till now?
So how many books have I written? That the reason why that's difficult to answer is because sometimes I do projects that are commissioned. So for example, I did a whole series of books like this. So I wrote 14 of these books. But in addition to this, I've written 10 books for children. So probably 24, but not all 14 are available. That's the reason why I don't say 24 books. So some of them are available, but 10 books are easily available.
Favorite idea of all the books was that the best of all idea? That
All right. It's my most recent. So then I've enjoyed working with it as well.
I have Edith Blyton, 2 books, and Roald Dahl, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, and the whole collection.
All right. They're lovely books. All of these are lovely.
Ma'am,
Yes,
ma'am,
Dilisha?
I had the 3 collections of Rosa and that books.
Mhm.
All the Blueberry, Rosa, Violet, all
Uh-huh.
those. Butterscotch, I love fantasy also. So I
Okay.
had a collection of 4 books of them. I got Scholastic in my book fair school one.
Right. The book fairs
I
are
always
lovely.
keep reading them, and the last book I was reading and I left it in
Right.
my
So
house only.
this book of mine is a Scholastic book. So this is the only one that I have that's by Scholastic, which is also, I love their work. I love their books. Yes, Kia, tell me.
I went to book fair. You can have books in a box.
Books in a box. I love those too. I've been to one of those fairs as well.
Ma'am, I will go to
I also have a brother of 2 years. He's
Mhm.
just sleeping right now, so I help him teach ABCD also. I have
That
lots of
works
fun.
because there's a big age difference. And yes, Arlene, we go to the library as well. The library is a lovely place to go and read as much as you can.
and it is near my house.
Okay, great. I'm so glad to hear that so many of you love to read. And I hope that that continues. So I hope that you continue to read. I hope that you continue to write. And I hope that you enjoyed today's session. Did you like making colors today?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am, it was awesome.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. Yes, Kia.
Ma'am, I made a stamp with Kia's library.
Lovely. Kia's library. You have a stamp like that. Well, I'd love to see that. Okay, all right. Thank you all. And I'll see you again, I hope soon. It's been wonderful to talk to you. And I'm so happy that Get Set Parent organized this. And I'm not surprised that it's the biggest literature fest because there's so much that they're doing. I'll see you all online or in physical form someday, I hope. Bye-bye.